In general, it's not super easy to just look at a matrix and know whether or not it's invertible. But invertibility is a really important property to have, so it is nice to know some tricks. One interesting property that a matrix could have is being diagonally dominant, and any diagonally dominant matrix has to be invertible. It's pretty easy to see if a matrix is diagonally dominant, which makes this kind of useful. So we'll see what diagonal dominance is, look at some examples, and prove this fact that diagonally dominant matrices are invertible. We say that a matrix is diagonally dominant if the magnitude of each entry aii on the diagonal is greater or larger than the sum of magnitudes along the rest of that row, row I. So again, a matrix is diagonally dominant if the magnitude of each diagonal entry is greater than the sum of the magnitudes of all the other entries in its row. Here's what that looks like with sigma notation. The magnitude of aii, this diagonal entry in row I, is greater than the sum of all the other entries in that row, the sum of the magnitude of aij, so we're still in row I, but we are letting the columns vary, right? So j is not equal to I, but j can be anything else. So add up the magnitudes of all the other entries in the row. If you add up those magnitudes, it's less than the magnitude of the entry on the diagonal. That's what it means for it to be diagonally dominant. And this is that same inequality, but written out without the sigma notation. The magnitude of this diagonal entry is greater than the sum of all the other entries. Importantly, in this sum on the right, we of course have to skip the magnitude of the diagonal entry. If it's not clear what all this notation means, let's clear it up by looking at some examples. So this matrix A is diagonally dominant, and thus we know it's invertible. Here's how easy to see that it's diagonally dominant. Look at this diagonal entry, 4. Is its magnitude greater than the sum of the magnitudes of the other entries? Yes, because 4 is greater than 3. What about the next diagonal entry, 3? Is its magnitude greater than the sum of the magnitudes of the rest of the row? Yes, because 3 is greater than 2. Now what about the final diagonal entry, 2? Is its magnitude greater than the sum of the magnitudes of the rest of the row? Yes, because 2 is greater than 1. Hence, this matrix is diagonally dominant, thus we know it is invertible. We should recall that this is not an equivalence. It's not the case that a matrix is diagonally dominant if and only if it's invertible. Diagonal domination is sufficient, but not necessary for invertibility. So for example, this matrix B is not diagonally dominant, but it is still invertible. We can see that it's not diagonally dominant because, for example, this diagonal entry 1 has a magnitude of 1, which is less than the sum of the magnitudes of the other entries in the row. That would be 2 plus 3. 1 is less than that. This matrix is not diagonally dominant, but it is invertible. It's not necessary that an invertible matrix be diagonally dominant. But if a matrix is diagonally dominant, we know for sure it's invertible. Here's an example of a matrix which is neither diagonally dominant nor invertible. You can see that it's not diagonally dominant because, for example, this first diagonal entry, 1, has a magnitude that is less than the sum of the magnitudes of the rest of the row. 1 is less than 10. So that's what a diagonally dominant matrix is. And again, every diagonally dominant matrix is invertible. Now, let's go ahead and prove that fact. The proof actually relies on this equivalence that we have previously proven. Link in the description to that proof. A matrix A is invertible if and only if the homogeneous linear system AX equals 0 has only the trivial solution. So, in order to show that a diagonally dominant matrix is invertible, we'll show that the homogeneous linear system AX equals 0 does not have any non-trivial solutions. So let's begin. Let A be a diagonally dominant matrix, and let X be a non-zero vector with its largest component being, say, xi. So we're going to show that this vector can't be a solution to this equation, ax equals 0, because this vector is not a 0 vector. So if this vector x is a non-zero vector with largest component xi, then we know, since a is diagonally dominant, that ax can't equal 0. This non-zero vector x can't possibly be a solution to this system, because rho I of this product ax, by definition of matrix multiplication, rho I is ai1x1 plus ai2x2, and so on. Eventually, we would have this diagonal entry, aiixi, where we have that diagonal entry of the matrix A multiplied by xi, the greatest entry in the vector x, and so on, all the way up to ain xn. Notice we're focusing on rho I of this product because it's in rho I that a diagonal entry of A gets multiplied by xi, which we took to be the largest component of the non-zero vector x. Now, we're trying to show that ax is not equal to 0. We're trying to show that this non-zero vector x can't be a solution. We're showing that by demonstrating that ax has this entry in rho I, which is not equal to 0. How do we know it's not equal to 0? Well, in short, it's because aii times xi is very big and can't possibly be canceled out by the rest of this sum. And we know it's so big because aii is a diagonal entry from a diagonally dominant matrix, A, and xi was taken to be the largest component of the vector x. Here are the nitty-gritty details of the justification. Imagine we sum the magnitudes of all of the other terms in this sum, excluding this one, aiixi. So that's what this j not equal to I means. We're adding up the magnitudes of all the terms of this sum, except for that one. Now, if we think about this sum, we know that it's less than or equal to the sum of the magnitudes of aij times the magnitude of xi. So what we're doing is saying, instead of matching each magnitude aij up with the corresponding xj, let's suppose we match them all up with the largest entry of xi. Certainly, that could only make the sum bigger. So this is less than or equal to this. We're changing the xj. Instead of letting it vary, let's fix it as the largest entry from x. This has to be less than or equal to that. But if you think about what this sum is, it's the magnitude of that largest entry xi multiplied by the sum of the magnitudes of all of the entries of the matrix A in row I, excluding the one on the diagonal. And we know that this sum, all of those entries that aren't on the diagonal, this sum is less than aii, the entry that's on the diagonal, because the matrix is diagonally dominant. So this big sum is certainly less than the magnitude of aii, that diagonal entry, multiplied by xi, the largest component from the vector x. Because all of these terms added together, all of these terms that aren't on the diagonal, all of them added together, still less than aii, because it's a diagonally dominant matrix. Hence, this sum, which is the row ith entry of ax, can't possibly be 0, because this term here has a magnitude that is greater than the sum of the magnitudes of all the other terms in this sum. So it certainly is not equal to 0, which means that the vector x is not a solution of this equation. We took x to be an arbitrary non-zero vector. Hence, there is no non-zero solution to this homogeneous linear system. Hence, the only solution is the trivial solution. Thus, A is invertible. And that's how you prove a diagonally dominant matrix is invertible. It comes down to showing that the homogeneous linear system, ax equals 0, has only the trivial solution. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and be sure to check out my linear algebra course and linear algebra exercises playlists in the description for more.